don't know, what do you think? What key for a rainforest?
Wet.
W.
Wet sharp. Wet mine.
Oh.
A bit of a theme in the stories I've been telling the last few weeks, I realised, about people getting on together. So this is something that fits that ilk. Well, people not getting on, I suppose. This story comes from the Brazilian rainforests to me via a book printed in the 1950s by the UN Women's Guild. And yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay, that's there. No, that's done.
Along the great river comes deer. And deer stops at the edge of the forest. Oh, what is this life? What have I done? One day will I make myself a home? Here is as good a place as any. And deer goes on into the forest. Jaguar along the great river. And Jaguar wonders to himself, what is my life? What have I achieved? Is this all there is? And Jaguar stops at the forest. Perhaps this is a place to settle and make my home. And Jaguar goes on into the forest. And a short time later, Deer returns to that place. And Deer begins to clear away the brush with his great antlers and clear the trees and level the ground and goes on into the forest. And soon, Jaguar returns. Why, in the place where I was to make my home, the ground is already levelled. The spirit, Tupan, is clearly with me. He has blessed this notion. And with energy now, Jaguar, with his sharp teeth and claws, begins to build a floor that is hard and shining. And Jaguar goes on into the forest. And soon, Deer returns. A floor has been built, shining. The spirit, Tupan, has blessed my notion of making myself a home. And with renewed energy, Deer builds himself walls to the house and goes on into the forest. And short time later, Jaguar comes. Tupan has built walls. And with his strength, in no time, Jaguar builds a strong roof. And when it is complete, Jaguar goes off into the forest. And soon Deer returns and sees that the house is complete. And Deer goes inside and makes 2 rooms. One for himself, and one a place where the spirit Tupan can sleep. And Deer sleeps. And a short time later, there returns Jaguar. And he sees there are 2 rooms. And he hears the breathing of Tupan, the spirit. And Jaguar goes into the other room, for the house is blessed. And that night, Jaguar and Deer and Jaguar share that house. They sleep under the same roof. It is dark. Dawn rises quick. And at that moment, both animals awake, and they look, one at the other. One at the other, and both ask, was it you who helped me build my house? Yes. And jaguar and deer live together under the same roof, in harmony, for a short time. I am hungry, says Jaguar. I will go and hunt. Put on a pot of water to boil. And Jaguar goes off into the forest, and there Jaguar tracks down, and chases, hunts, and kills a deer, and carries the deer carcass back to the house. And the water is boiling, and Jaguar begins to cook. And when deer finds what Jaguar is cooking, deer is filled with sadness and goes to his room. And through the night, Jaguar feasts, and deer does not sleep. For deer is fearful that at any moment Jaguar will enter and devour him. And in the morning, deer says, put on a pan of water to boil, for I am going out into the forest to hunt. And deer goes out and looks and finds, sharpening his claws against the bark of a tree, a jaguar. And deer goes on and finds Tamandua, the anteater. Tamandua, that jaguar, spoke evil of you. And Tamandua is filled with fury. Enraged, Tamandua goes and, with his strong 4 claws, he tears the jaguar, he kills the jaguar, and goes on into the forest. And deer carries the carcass of the jaguar back to the house. The water is boiling, and deer begins to cook. When jaguar finds what deer is preparing, jaguar goes to his room. Jaguar cannot sleep for the thoughts of what deer may be eating. And when deer goes to his room, deer cannot sleep for fear that jaguar may enter his room and devour him. Deer, after many hours, begins to nod, for he is weary. And jaguar is full of fear that any moment deer might enter and devour him. Jaguar nods and is falling asleep. Deer, as he nods, his antlers knock against the wall and make a loud sound. And jaguar wakes and is terrified for the fear that deer will come and devour him, and sends out a great scream of fear. And deer awakes and believes that jaguar is to enter the room and devour him. And both deer and jaguar flee from the house, one in one direction and the other in the opposite. Since that time, jaguar and deer have never slept under the same roof.